I believe what happened in 2023, which was subsumed as a glitch, before we went into the election, my own understanding and based on the review of the decisions of Supreme Court, we found that there was no clarity as to the purpose of IReV. Not until the Supreme Court came out to say that IReV was not an electronic collation system.
And the questions they are asking you are the concerns of Nigerians, of their constituents. Because of the fact that they were participants in the various elections. So they are very familiar. And all they want to know is whether things will change. So he's saying that the beavers and the IReV were meant to be game changers. But instead, in some instances, they presented difficulties and problems that could not be solved by the ordinary people. So if you become the national chairman of INEC, what do you hope to do? But that is very technical. I think you should get into the office, study it, study the flaws, and from there, you will know what to do. But if he has an answer, okay, based on the fact that you have been working with us from the House of Representatives, so you have an idea. So proceed to answer.
And also a professor of evidence.
The purpose of introducing beavers and IReV was to ensure the integrity of the election, and that is the purpose of technology all over the world. I believe what happened in 2023, which was subsumed as a glitch, before we went into the election, my own understanding and based on the review of the decisions of Supreme Court, we found that there was no clarity as to the purpose of IReV. Not until the Supreme Court came out to say that IReV was not an electronic collation system. And that position was not properly brought out before the election. The INEC was supposed to be a safeguard for comparison, because the laws made by this distinguished Senate did not do away with manual collation. However, IReV was supposed to provide some guarantees and checks and balances. But owing to the issues of glitches, which in simple time, I understand as improper configuration, especially during the presidential election, that eroded the confidence of so many people. So, as His Excellency the Senate President said, I have to audit the system if I'm given the opportunity to see what is actually wrong and whether we have what it takes as it is now. Because it is not just the INEC responsibility alone. You have the other agencies like NCC, NIMC, and the service providers that will have to work together to ensure that we give Nigerians the technology that everybody will be happy about. And I want to believe that the question of the minority leaders is also similar to that. There would definitely be an audit of what the system we are meeting, and especially of the logistic of the election itself, and ensure that the proper strategy is put in place. We all know the problem. So we'll find a proper strategy to be able to confront those problems headlong. I give one example. Logistic problem. We rely on third-party logistics to transport sensitive election materials. Some of the vehicles, when you see them, they are old. And they don't even go far. And when they drop the materials, they don't even remain to bring back. So when they abandon the voting and the results, and collation is made or to transport, they now have to be hiring machines and so. So we need to take it serious and ensure, even if INEC has to go into some form of logistic on its own to ensure that that aspect. I'm just giving you one example that I know. Thank you, sir.
Ositango.
Thank you, Mr. President and my colleagues. My name is Ositango Ugu. I represent Enugu West. Prof, I'll congratulate you, but I'm sure you have had enough accolades. So I'll go straight to the question. No matter how beautiful our electoral policies and procedures are, the integrity of the people who carry out this election matters. Now I'm going to talk about the integrity of the people who either are INEC staff or ad hoc staff, who are going to be the people who conduct these elections. Prof, how are you going to set up an internal mechanism that is going to deter the people conducting elections from compromising? How are you going to prevent it? And what mechanism are you going to put in place to detect when such compromises occur? And finally, how are you going to ensure that there is adequate punishment, maybe working with the National Assembly, to prosecute those who are entrusted with the responsibility to conduct the election, but who goes back to compromise the election? Thank you very much.
Well, very good question. I wish it came last so that you can reassure all Nigerians. But it's a very good question. Very, very good question. Because Prof can only administer, but the real nitty-gritty is with those who are vested with the responsibility of going to the nooks and crannies of the nation. What they do and bring back can either mar his administration or promote his administration. So, Prof, it's at that stage, I think you should answer together with the other questions so far asked.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Senate President, Senators.
May I respond by taking the last question first? I think that is a major concern. That is the question of Senator Osita. It's a major concern of everybody, because one of the things that we have to do is to work out an internal mechanism that we can use to trail the behavior of humans. In the first place, I'm taking this position on trust, and the people who I'm going to work with, they must also appreciate the fact that they are there on trust, and because you have made the law that should be done. So one of the ways is to set up an ethical committee so that you can have an audit of what has happened, because there have been several cases that have been reported and nothing were done.